Scoreboard, a look at tomorrow's headlines today. It's our way of keeping you ahead of the curve. Let's welcome our panel. We have Fox News medical contributor Mark Siegel, from the Wall Street Journal, Lee Hawkins, and staying with us is Dr. Stephen Greer, and in L.A., Leslie Marshall. Well, banks are keeping more than $1 trillion on ice at the Federal Reserve Board, even though their cash is only making 0.25% while it's in storage. Now, the banks would, of course, rather be making a lot more money by getting the money out in circulation, but they're being very careful about making loans after what we've all been through. Now, even Ben Bernanke may try to keep the cash on ice by upping the interest rate the Fed gives for the banks for holding the money to 2%. Bernanke's fear in trying to keep hold of the money, according to testimony he was going to give before Congress today, before the snow out, is that once the cash starts circulating out there, it'll cause inflation. But is this true? Doesn't the inflation depend on whether that money can be put to good use in a business-friendly environment? I want to go to you first.
Well, I do think that, yes, that is going to be a key.
I mean, if it's just,
here.
Let's be specific. If it's just $1 trillion of cash, too much money chasing too few goods, that's the definition of inflation. But if it's actually generating, if it's making something, that's different.
Right, and I think there was a question that was posed earlier, is has the Obama administration set up the conditions for a business-friendly environment and for the market to be ready for this? And we saw that the Fed didn't offer any timing for when they were going to actually trigger, make the signal on the excess interest rates. And right there, that says that they're not even sure when they should do it, because they're not sure what the underlying conditions in the marketplace are.
So could the Fed, could Ben Bernanke be making a mistake by trying to lock up this capital a little too soon?
Well, I thought the whole point of TARP and so forth was to not freeze up the market so that there would be lending.
That's a good point.
That's what we have now more than a year later, is they're not lending to. So what did TARP do? When I hear Hank Paulson go on the air and try to defend himself, saying that the economy would have been so much worse off, well, what did TARP accomplish? No one's lending.
So, Leslie, could Ben Bernanke, being going against the president's own words of saying, look, we want banks to lend the money that they have?
Yeah, but I got to tell you, I'm a talk host, not an economist. And if anybody's fearful of inflation in this economy and is so strong about it that they need to speak to their leaders and go against their boss, then I think it's something that we should listen to and we should hear out.
No doubt.
I mean, to be honest, he knows more about that than I do. Well,
there's no doubt about that. We have to be careful about inflation. But again, if you have a business-friendly environment, that is, if the president and Congress were to come in and make it easier for businesses to make money, lower regulations, lower tax rates in a significant across-the-board way, if you put the money out there in that kind of environment, it might create a field of flowers.
It would be better than what we have now, where small businesses, and I'm a small business owner, of course, as a doctor, we're squashed. All the money, all the federal advantage has gone to the big dogs, as we're busy borrowing all this money from China. But there's not the kind of environment we need for small businesses, and that's where the real economy is.
So if there was a better environment for small businesses, do you think that you would use capital for banks to hire more people?
Certainly, that's a possibility. Right now, no one is hiring. It's a big freeze. Everyone's staying in jobs they don't want to be in. If there was more money around, yes, it might help.
Oh, I think certainly that would happen. But the real concern here is I think the market is really nervous because, look, when you think of interest rate on excess reserve, the idea is really a relatively new instrument. It's only been around since October of 2008. So it's not like we're focusing on the Fed fund rate as the only signal there. And so they're wondering, how is the market going to react? And we saw Bernanke say we're going to be able to do incremental things and incremental strategies to see how the market responds.
And in Bernanke's favor, he's not exactly locking up the money. He's just offering banks a better opportunity of keeping it there with a 2% interest rate until the environment is better, the economic environment is better to lend the money out.
Well, just in general, I think free money or low interest rates is bad for national security. It props up oil prices, makes Russia, Venezuela powerful, all sorts of consequences. It's what got us into the first...
Free, easy money is not a good thing.
The housing bubble. Just, I'm not
Isn't that how we got to where we are today, guys?
That's right. That's exactly...
I mean, lending money too freely?
Boy, it's amazing. We all agree on that.
Unfortunately, if we raise the interest rates too fast, you're going to see the stock market crash. And we saw some of that today.
All right, quickly on health care. Later this month, the president will host his health care summit. Now, folks on the left say he's throwing them under the bus, while those on the right say it's merely a PR stunt for the same old bill that failed. So, Leslie, what do you think it is? Is this Mr. Obama's last-ditch effort for health care reform?
It might be, but I'm a liberal, and he's not throwing me under the bus, and not all liberals have said that, David, and you know that.
No, I'm
Maybe
just
a
quoting
handful.
other liberals who have said it, Leslie, and I've quoted some people before.
That's right. We're all the same. We're all the same, David. Just put us under one little umbrella.
I don't want to throw you
no,
under the bus.
I think he. You know what? I think he owes it to the American people to try his best to give something that can benefit the American people, even if it only benefits what, 30 million.
But, Doctor, what do you think? Is